Yeah, g'day, I'm Brett and welcome to Reliance Australia. Today's video is, it's just about how I was hanging something off the ceiling off the shed, and I'm looking up there at the moment. So my daughter has this thing called a silk. What it does, she can swing around, she wraps herself up with the legs and hangs upside down and swings around. She sits in it and swings around. But as we come across to our wall here, you can see this, I think they call it a top hat. The edges of it, if I can show that, are actually quite sharp. Like if I was running my finger that way, I'd slice my finger open. So it is actually very sharp. And so what I was concerned about was that strap. Now that webbing strap up there is quite strong. It is designed to take like 10 to 15 ton, because I actually bought it originally for a block and tackle, which I will mount on another spot. Now, what I was concerned about was that top hat, so that metal beam that runs across, actually slicing through it as my daughter was swinging around. And what I didn't want was her then to fall down. Like, I know I've got some mats here, but gee, you still don't want to fall that distance, because it will end in broken bones generally. So what I've done is put some timber up there. So this video is about how I went about doing that. Now there's a couple of things that I had to do before I got to getting up that height. So what I did, I literally tested it on the wall. So you can see I've got the same piece of metal all the way around the shed. So that's what actually gets the structure in the wall. So I tested the timber. As I was making the timber, I tested it down at this level first before climbing up the ladder, because I'm not a fan of being up at heights. Now, the other thing I had to do before I got there was get myself a ladder that got me up to the top. Now, I did have to do a special order for this one. Like, it is a fairly commonly made one, but not all the stores have them, so I had to put a special order in for them to order it in. But that is probably about a 3.6 meter step ladder. So it's quite high, and it does allow me to reach up to the top and in the middle. Now, I can't say I'm overly comfortable up there, but you'll see in the video I'm hanging on for dear life. That's because just the way I roll. And look, that was an investment, that ladder, because you can see, maybe you can. I'll see if I can zoom in on that. There is a little eyelet up there that I put into the big beam. Now that is going to be for my block and tackle, because I've got some equipment that I want to bring up from the house and put into the shed. And I'm going to need that block and tackle to do it, to lift it up out of the trailer. But anyway, so I had to get the ladder first before I could get up to there to do it. Now, clearly the ladder is not something I'm going to be using all the time, but it is something that if I ever want to do stuff up on the ceiling of the shed, or even up high on the walls, which at some stage I would like to be able to do, I'd like to line the walls, whether that's with proper framing and drywall, or gyprock as we call it over here, or ply, so I can hang things off of it. I'd still like to be able to get up there and do it safely. So having a lean up ladder isn't quite as safe. Well, I didn't feel as quite as safe. I guess if people up on ladders all the time, they probably think they are. So the step ladder was the option that I chose for that. So yeah, for me, it was a long-term investment, noting that this is supposed to be our forever home. So while I may not use it all the time, I've got it there for when I do need to use it. And it's not just for inside either. It's high enough to get me up onto the roof if I need to. Now, I won't be too excited about doing that, because I'll still have to climb up and climb down onto it. So I want to hope that someone is nearby to soften the fall if I miss. Nah, just kidding. But so that's what this video is about. So I hope you enjoy. Just hanging something from the roof of the shed, so you can see we are a fair way here. And I didn't want my strap to get cut on the edge of the steel channel. So what I've done, I've got these lumps of 90 by 45 mil framing pine, and you see I've put a groove in there. Now I don't have a table saw, so I actually use a drop saw to do those. and just ran it through the other side. What I've also done is screwed, you can see that screwed onto there, comes out the other side. So I didn't want these bits of wood to slide and move around in case they moved and then that strap actually slid off of them and got cut, because I don't want anything that's under load here potentially falling as we go through. So look, it didn't take too much. I did have to trim a little bit off the top. Now I just got my plane and put a bit of a rounded edge on the top, because that's where it's going to come. This bottom side here is just got a little bit of a rounded edge already, but what I didn't want is a sharp edge on the timber from where I did it. I did actually have to trim just a fraction off the top, so maybe about 10 mil. Had to take 10 mil off the top of that, so it's probably only 80 by 45 now, because it didn't quite, by the time we took the insulation into effect, or into account, yeah, I just had to take a little bit off the top. Not to mention it is also on an angle, so this channel that you see here is actually on the angling in, so that makes that top side here just that little bit higher. So it's okay on the wall. When I tested it on the blank wall over there, it fitted in nicely, but once I had the insulation in here, this foil paper, by the way, worth every single dollar putting it into the shed. It keeps it a lot cooler. Well, mind you, I haven't been in here in the middle of summer yet, because the shed's still new, as you can tell. It's still setting it up. It has made a big difference in winter. So winter gets quite cold down here, so it has made a big difference, so I'd highly recommend doing it. Also, I've had some friends that come over and they said they suffer from condensation on the roof in winter, so they wish they had have done that when they put their sheds up. So I'm glad I did do it. But anyway, that's what I've done here, guys. I've just put some timber around to protect that strap, and so hopefully that'll make it nice and safe to hang things off. So there you go. That's another job done. Look, that was a fairly quick job, because I did all the testing down on the ground, so it was just a lot easier, a lot safer, quicker. It saved me having to go up and down the ladder, but also it's just, just a shorter distance, and I guess that safety factor is I'm still on the ground. It's hard to fall when you're already on the ground. So look, I am happy with it. The daughter has used that extensively over the last few years, and she enjoys coming up and stretches her body out and helps her to relax, and she gets to have some time in the shed with me when I'm doing stuff as well. So it's actually worked out really nicely. While she's swinging away, I can still do some work up here, so some nice time together. So anyway, if you've enjoyed that, please give a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That would help the channel out immensely. So thanks very much, and until next time, I'll see you then.